Welcome, everybody. I totally love our Tuesdays. We get to hear from different people who have different passions and really great content. And today we get to have Alison Goggins with us. I say your last name. Do I say it properly? No? Oh no. I said it wrong. Oh no. Can you correct me, please, Alison? She's muted. You're muted. Okay.
Goggin.
Goggin.
Yeah,
Okay, no S.
that's all right.
Alison Goggin. And so I absolutely love listening to you and how you present. And so I was like, yay! So we are going to talk about emotional help, emotional support during the holidays today. I when Alison asked me, so what exactly? I said, okay, I have a couple of really brutal, hard topics for you. The empty chair at the table is something that I think everybody has been touched with. And it is something that comes up at the holidays that we have an empty chair a lot of times. And how best to support those that are dealing with it, that it's extremely raw, just to acknowledge it and to be very supportive of it. The other is the SAD, and we've discussed briefly different aspects of the SAD, but during the holidays that becomes pretty prevalent in a lot of what we're doing. So without further ado, thank you for joining us and take it away.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, so thanks for picking two of the hardest topics to talk about. That was fantastic because I was like, I really have nothing because, like you said, we've all gone through that. And I was like, she just wants me to cry on camera again. Like, is that what we're trying to do? We all make each other cry. So I guess I'll speak a little quickly to it, and then I put together some action things on the sad and the emotions part of it for you guys to take home and experiment with. So, I lost my brother 11 years ago to suicide, and his chair has been empty at our table since then, and along with many other people, but that one was the hardest one. And I think our best strategy as a family has always been to remember him and honor him and not pretend like it didn't happen, and to not be afraid to talk to each other about it. And the biggest thing is we always honor his birthday. So we always order pizza and get a couple 2 liters of soda and go to town because that was his favorite meal. And so it's those little things, I think. I don't know what you guys have found, but remembering their favorite things, remembering their favorite foods, their favorite activities, and spending just a little time to honor that and just be together in that memory has been really helpful for us. And then being able to say, okay, we've been able to honor this memory, and then release it and not spend the time focusing on that. And because you can share in those joy in the memories, and even sharing those funny stories have been helpful. Like the time he ate all the bacon at the party when he was 10 and everybody wondered where the bacon went. It's those little things, right? So I guess I would challenge you to, if you're struggling with that, and that loss and those feelings, to find those happy memories. And some people do like a jar. One of the strategies I saw a couple of years ago was to write all the funny memories in a jar and pick them out and like read them and just laugh together about memories and times gone has been helpful too. Or a Thanksgiving tree, if you're doing Thanksgiving right now with your family and having those moments together can be really helpful. So that's kind of all I have to say on a super difficult topic, because everyone struggles differently. So give yourself grace and space and time to rest, and focus on the good stuff. Kind of all I got for that. And then on the emotional side, the emotional health, I have two things, because one, I've had a recent paradigm shift in my practice, and I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue and mood disorders and anxiety, depression, all those good things. And I just got my blood work back, And guess what? I don't have any of those things. I have a genetic blood disorder that has been killing me. And there's a simple solution to it. And I was like, man, if I hadn't been so honestly cheap, because I didn't want to go pay $200 for the genetic test, but I could have figured out that it wasn't adrenal fatigue. And I think a lot of people, when they're talking about seasonal affective or the winter time, they go, oh, well, this must be my adrenals, it must be leaky gut. And so I would challenge you today to stop and take a good look at what's going on in your body and why it's happening, and not blow it off. Because as women, and especially in, I don't know about you guys, but in my circles, it's, well, emotions cause issues, which they do. I can't deny that. But to say you just got to get your stress under control and you just need to be happy and you just need to get over it, that is not the issue. Or you just need energy work. It's like, well, hold on. Like, there might actually be something going on. So let's address it. Let's figure it out. So let's talk about that, and I'll give you some tools. So there's 4 barriers that we have in our body. We have our skin, we have our gut, we have our lungs, and we have our blood-brain barrier. So we know what to do about skin. We all know we have leaky gut issues. The lung barrier isn't often talked about, but if you struggle with chronic respiratory infections, if you're the seasonal allergy person, your lung barrier is probably compromised a little bit. And then the blood-brain barrier. And so the problem becomes, when all of these become compromised, is all the symptoms look the same. You're tired, you have brain fog, your memory goes, you have anxiety, and those all look the same. Those are such broad symptoms across the board that, where do you start with them? So I wanted to talk about the blood-brain barrier today, because it is really important, especially when we're talking about seasonal affective. So you can start examining what's going on in your body. One of the best things that you can do is to do a GABA challenge, and that's GABA. And that is a neurotransmitter made by our body. It does not cross the blood-brain barrier. So the challenge is to go and get a bottle of it. So that's probably backwards for you guys, but GABA. So I got it from the nutritional store, and you take about 1,000 milligrams. And the goal to figure out what's going on is, if you feel nothing, then your blood-brain barrier is probably intact. You're good, because it doesn't cross. If you take it and you feel good and you feel like your anxiety is gone, like I took it, I was like, ooh, I feel a little lightheaded and I feel really calm and relaxed. So that means my barrier is compromised. And then on the other side of that, if you feel like your symptoms increased, which isn't as common with this, but it can happen, that you also have a broken blood-brain barrier. So what that means is your neurochemicals aren't focused right, that you guys know you have infections that can cross, bacteria, mold, chemicals that can affect you. So what you want to do is increase blood flow and decrease inflammation. And that will help reset the barrier. And that way your chemicals will stay where they need to stay. So you'll be happy, in theory, focused, good brain fog, right? So the oils that we have, turmeric, awesome, because that's going to support inflammation processes in a healthy way. The 3 that I like to focus on for the brain are helichrysum, melissa, and frankincense. 1, because they cross that barrier. The 2, they do help rebuild the cells that are in our brain and in that barrier. And then, of course, resveratrol is the biggest one, and that's an alpha-CRS, an LLV, and fish oil. So LLV takes care of everything. So just one more reason to be on that. And then I was looking through, I think yarrow would probably be a phenomenal oil to support that blood-brain barrier and making sure that it is patent and healthy, because it has those antioxidant properties to reduce inflammation there, but also helps with blood flow and focus and hormones. And I don't know about you guys, but when I got the Dream Kit, I took all of the new oils and put them in a big bottle with DDR Prime. And I've just been putting it in capsules and taking it every day. And I have noticed a huge difference in mood and inflammation and how my joints are moving. Iris, what was the last oil? Yarrow palm. And then in my, oh, I should have brought it up here. My little dropper bottle, I have turmeric, pink pepper, DDR prime, frankincense, copaiba. I might have put green mandarin in there, and then yarrow. I mean, like that bottle's probably worth like $500 just sitting out here, and it's like, yeah, that's it. And I do that once or twice a day. So that would be really great to help support that barrier. And I think the GABA challenge is important too, so you're not chasing the wrong thing. So if you take it and you're like, I feel great, all right, let's move on to the next thing. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to chat about real quick is waking up at night, because so many people struggle with insomnia issues. And I've seen it a lot in the threads about, I'm diffusing oils all night, but I'm still waking up every 2 hours. So what that tells me is it's not a sleep issue, it's a brain fuel issue. And this is really important for anxiety. And I'll give you the physiology first, and then I'll tell you how to fix it. So when we go to sleep, our brain still works because it keeps us alive all night. Pretty cool, right? We're breathing, we're digesting, we're moving, everything's working. So our brain still needs fuel. So what it does is its first thing goes to wake you up to go eat. But thankfully, our systems are overriding that. It says, okay, you're sleeping. So it'll hit the adrenals and say, hey, make some cortisol. And the cortisol goes to the liver, and the liver releases glucose and sugar, which will feed the brain. The brain keeps working, it's happy. And then about every 2 to 3 hours, it's going to hit your adrenals and keep saying, hey, make more cortisol, hit the liver, sugar goes up. So that way, by the morning time, your cortisol keeps rising. So when you wake up, you should be good to go. You're happy, you're hungry, and you're ready to start your day. So most people don't feel like that. And so the reason that's happening is your brain will go to your adrenals and say, hey, make some cortisol, but they're tired and they're done too. So they'll make epinephrine and adrenaline, and that wakes you up because that's not producing sugar. It's just giving your brain a quick hit. So if you're waking up every 2 hours, especially if you're waking up with anxiety, if you're waking up with heart palpitations, and I've seen it severe enough where people are waking up with asthma attacks and severe panic attacks to the point where they're going to the emergency room. That is because you're pumping so much adrenaline through your body every 2 hours that your body can't handle it and your hormones can't handle it. And that might be why the oils, which as amazing as they are, aren't keeping you asleep, because your brain's going, hey, where's the food, friends? We need to eat. So most likely what's happening is we call it reactive hypoglycemia. And then on the other side of that is insulin resistance. So the key to that is eating, and eating consistently. So that way your brain will start to trust you and go, okay. And your adrenals will start to trust you, and it will know food is coming. So a lot of us turn off that hunger signal. I don't need to eat. I got this. That's how a lot of people are. Or I'll just eat this little snack. And if you're like me, it's Halloween candy that's left over, or holiday leftovers, right? I know that. Don't judge me, okay? And so that's teaching my brain, hey, food's not coming. There's no protein, there's no fat, it's just that Reese's bar, good luck. And so it's hitting my adrenals, trying to get my, trying to feed my brain to keep me alive and not giving it what it needs. So the goal would then be to eat and eat consistently. And so keeping snacks with you throughout the day, having something like a quick protein shake, packing a protein shake in your car. I just bought that big bag of trail mix from Costco. So I'm scooping it out into little bags so I can keep it with me. And what that does is it keeps your blood sugar stable, so that at night when you do go to sleep and your brain goes, I'm hungry, it's going to use that stored sugar from your liver in your body rather than pumping adrenaline through your system, right? So it's just another tool for when you are struggling with anxiety, because that's that brain not getting its fuel when it's using the wrong chemicals in your body, the wrong hormones. And another way to figure out, is that the issue? Is the hypoglycemia the issue? Or is there something deeper going on that you need to address? And it's just a really simple way. So if you could spend at least a week eating consistently, no skipping meals, eating within 30 minutes from when you wake up, then see how your body does. And if you go, holy cow, I slept all night, there's your answer. If you go, Alison, that didn't change a thing, okay, we'll go on to the next level. But at least you know what's going on for your body. And especially when we're talking about seasonal affective, it does become hard to eat. And it becomes hard to eat the right thing too, because we're surrounded by cakes and candies and all the good stuff, because you probably already ate all the Halloween candy. And we just need to keep eating and making that plan together so you can have the right foods at the right time to keep your brain happy and healthy. And the inflammation down too. So I hope that helped. That is my quick little heal your brain talk.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. That's really, really key information for me, because I come from it at, I deal with the insulin resistance with the type 1 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it wakes me up, it's my glucose monitors going off and it's going, okay, we've kicked in a ton of sugar. And I'm like, wait, I didn't eat. Well, there it is. That's why my body is in the lack stage. And so it's kicking in stuff to try and, that just made so much more sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, that, because the adrenal fatigue, you hear that a lot of why are our adrenals so fatigued. And if we're starving them and they're not getting the nourishment, then it's a whole combination of stuff. So that's awesome. And if we're starving, our emotions aren't easily maintained either.
Absolutely. But if your blood sugar is going up and down and your hormones are going up and down and your brain's like, we don't have a chance to manage our hormones, because then it becomes out of our control and we feel out of control. And so getting back with our nutrition and taking care of ourselves, eating the right food, using the oils, getting the inflammation down, now you got a fighting chance to manage and get the support that you need without honestly being written off or labeled or, you know.
So I have a question on the very first, so you went through the GABA, but then you said helichrysum, frankincense, and Melissa, thank you. Yeah. I missed that one. I was like writing furiously, but I missed
Sorry.
it.
I talked too fast.
So no, it was good. I know I can come back and ask. So, and the GABA, if it makes you feel good, so I'm just recapping. If it makes you feel good when you do the GABA, that means that your blood-brain barrier actually is compromised.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just making sure I understand this. But if it doesn't have any effect, then your blood-brain barrier is actually intact and you move on to the next thing. So it's another checklist.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. So what's in the GABA?
The GABA is just a neurotransmitter, essentially. The reason we use that for the challenge is because it's made in the gut and it's made in the brain, but it doesn't leave the brain. So it can't pass that barrier. So that way, you know, if you take it and you feel good, that means it passed the barrier and it's signaling those dopamine and the serotonin and that calming effect that it should have naturally, but it should not be taken externally as a feel-good supplement, because it shouldn't be working on the brain that way.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And yeah, I love mixing everything into the bottle because it makes it so much easier. I was like, okay, I'm just going to take the empty bottle and put it all together, and way easier. And I am kind of, ease for me is just dropping it under my tongue.
Absolutely.
I know that there's different thought processes on that it actually in some cases works better if you take it in the capsule. and it's digested through your tract instead of taking it
Did we lose her? Yeah. Well, to carry on before she comes back, sublingual versus taking it in a capsule, I think it depends on you too, because if your gut isn't digesting properly and you don't have good digestive quality, or you have a compromised gut barrier like leaky gut, or your small intestines are struggling, or you have low stomach acid, there's a lot of reasons that it might not be effective for you. So I would say try both. So do them sublingually under your tongue and then try it in a capsule. And if it just depends on how it works for you, and go with the one that works, honestly. I don't think at that point there's any like super strict rules. So we lost you. Hold on, you're muted.
I think somebody just hit our power pole and everything, because everything just went down. I heard this big bang and I was like, oh, whoops, all electricity went out. Everything is gone.
Oh no.
Thankfully, I have a phone. Wow. Anyway, so I so appreciate you explaining this, and I'm sorry I missed what you just said. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the recording now. Oh my goodness.
Alison, Iris here, and what was everything that you have in your bottle? Turmeric and pink pepper and DDR and what else?
Yarrow, the yarrow palm. I think I put copaiba in there as well because I'm obsessed.
Me too.
And then I think when I make it, sometimes I throw extra frankincense in there, depending on. I mean, you could put anything in there, but those are the main four: the turmeric, the yarrow, the pink pepper, the DDR prime. Those are the four that I always make sure that are in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, in your opinion, best support for emotions, because we talk about the emotions of the empty chair, and we've all dealt with that. Now the combination that you put with the yarrow palm and the frankincense and turmeric and all of those are pretty heavy hitters as far as on the emotional realm as well, are they not?
Absolutely.
So
yes, a lot of people have talked about yarrow being an intensely deep emotional healer as well.
Yeah, and so that would be super beneficial for this time of year leading into the holidays as well, not just on the physical aspect, but just the overall, boost.
So what I taught my daughter to do about a year after we started, so a couple years ago, I would just hand her my box of oils when she was having a breakdown. So she's 11 now, so she was about 4 or 5. And just say, smell them all and see which one calls to you. Because in that moment, your chemistry changes based on your emotions and what your body's experiencing. And emotions have different chemical signatures. So I wouldn't be hard and fast with one oil. I would say, smell them all and see which one resonates with you most in that moment, and then stick with that for the day, and then put it aside, and the next morning go back to your box. The kids line, amazing. Oh my goodness. I put it on my kids. I'm like, ooh, this is the one I'm using today. And I call it my move to Mexico moment. So when you want to burn everything down and move to Mexico and forget the entire world existed, I tried that, and I picked up vetiver, and it smelled heavenly. I hate vetiver. I think it's the grossest oil on the face of the planet. But when I picked that oil up, I was like, this is heaven. And I didn't move to Mexico, clearly. I didn't burn everything down. And then when that moment had passed, it took about 2 hours and I was back to myself. I picked the vetiver up and it smelled disgusting. I was like, okay, so my chemistry changed. So when it comes to emotions, especially the ups and downs with holidays and the season, stick with your basics for taking care of yourself every day, but then go back to your box of oils or even just the blend. So now I hand her the blend box and I'm like, go through it. Because her favorites always ended up being lemon, lang lang, whisper, but for everybody it's different. So in that moment, see what you feel best with and go with that.
That's awesome, because I love the simplicity of the 4 oils in the kids collection, because it's very, very simplistic. The difference that it made in our 17-year-old was astounding. And he rattled off all of the information. Here's a child that dislikes reading, but he went through all of it, and then he presented it on one of our calls. And I was like, I looked at my husband and he looked at me and we're like, whoa, wow. It was empowering for him, and just, it was the perfect chemical match for him, for his emotions. And just that chemical makeup and being able to line the chemistry back up was just incredible.
My 6-year-old has PANDAS. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a pediatric autoimmune issue where you have strep and then it attacks the brain and it causes autism spectrum-like issues. And we've been working on it for a few years, but when he got the kids kit, he was like, these oils are for me to balance my body, and went on this long, he's 6, diatribe about oils and helping him. When he took them all, he put them all on his belly. I was like, dude, whatever. Like, at least you got them on you. I don't care. And then he did the dishes. He's never done the dishes. I was like, oh, we're using these every day. Like, yeah, I don't care. Like, so the theory is, I guess, put them on your belly and then things will get done around the house. So, but it did. It helped him. And I love the beauty of it, because it wasn't like, oh, you have to put them on your wrists and your neck. I mean, he had them on his knees. He had them under his arms. Like, just get them on you. And you're going to see the difference. And how cool is that?
Yeah. And the fact that they get it and they can use it. I mean, they can help themselves. And that's, I love that aspect of the oils, because kids, it's hard to get a kid to just say something just because you want them to say it, and with the oils, it's a natural, either they work for them or they don't work for them, because they're going to have a pretty hard time coming up with makeup stuff for it, because they just don't get that aspect.
Absolutely. And the aroma touch technique too, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
And it's something that we do at least once a week in our house, because it's the physical connection on top of the oils, where you're connecting with those around you. And that leads to better communication and opening up. And
Yep.
I would strongly recommend that one, just emotionally, to ground yourself and your family and reconnect.
Yep. Yeah. Because as they age, the personal touch becomes different. And especially a 17-year-old now. I mean, he's our baby, and I'm like, wait. But it's still that he still needs it, and I still need it, but it is changing and shifting. And so if you have that aroma touch, and it's a really giving and connected touch, but it's also extremely safe for both, if that makes, yeah. So are there questions? Does anybody have questions? Because she is the one to ask.
I just wanted to add, I use muscle testing each morning to decide what oils go in my diffuser, because I have skin sensitivity issues, and so that's the best way for me. Your son likes his belly. I like it. And so with those two, the combinations are quite often very unusual, or what I would think as unusual, but they're right on what I need for that day. And a few weeks ago, I was getting ready for a client, and I was putting things in the diffuser that were calming. And I don't do that during the day usually because I need to pep up a little bit. The oils were exactly what the client needed.
Oh, wow.
And I saw that after she got there. So that's another way that you can smell the oils, sort of.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. That's a great way to do it.
Anybody else have questions?
Well, if you do have questions, message me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to help you out.
I may be contacting you.
Anytime. Anytime.
And Kenzie, are you still with us? I know you're in there someplace.
I'm here. Let me
And
stop
so,
really quick.